Hello, everyone, and welcome to the weekly catch-up number 9. And joining us from West Virginia is the co-host of the weekly catch-up, Jeffrey K. Holbrook. And here he should be in a second or two. See if I can do without a surprise.
Greetings.
Good evening. So
Hey.
I got in there all okay. So that's
Excellent.
that got in quite nicely. I did have a bit of issues at first. I got in the second attempt, and I was so excited getting in. I thought, I better monitor the sound. Then the sound monitoring, it sounded horrible.
It is,
But
it still sounds good from here.
Oh, well, that's okay. Then it must be just the monitoring through that. I'd never monitored it that way before, but it was getting a bit too. I switched off and switched back on again, and I thought, gee, it's not going to do it. Then I couldn't get back in.
No, right now, your video is kind of moving back and forth kind of slowly. I guess mine would look that way to you too.
Yeah, yours is doing that. Something is a little bit dependent on probably the bandwidth. And I just realized I should never have worn this shirt.
What's wrong with that?
It mores.
Oh yeah, it moves around. Oh well, we'll have to.
So as long as I just keep very still, I always remember. I've got a few color these ones. Never wear these shirts because it always does a funny thing there. Well,
is there a specific resolution or specific dimensions that the background pictures that you use have to be? I mean, they have to be like square. They have to be a specific thing, because I know they'll look grainy if they're small or whatever. But I figure certain dimensions, right?
Well, not on this one, because it does everything into 540p anyway. So my screen's about 3 times as big as this. So I'm just in the middle of it, but it just cuts me out. It cuts off just into the middle.
Well,
if I did this,
I was wondering about Wirecast, because you said it uses JPG type of files.
JPEGs,
okay.
Yeah.
Just for the fun of it, I actually put some of my older, probably lower resolution. they're a few years old, so they're probably lower resolution pictures in the Dropbox. And I was wondering if you'd try to project a couple of those back there and see if they see what. I mean, again, I don't want to get you kicked out again or anything, but because you change your picture every so often. I was just curious what they would look like back there, but the resolution is probably going to be suspect because of how old the pictures are. Most of those are probably.
Oh, it doesn't matter, because most of them don't need to be too big a picture either. That you see,
they're different dimensions too. So I think I put 5 or 6 of them in there, but you could see if you wanted to put one in there and see. I just wanted to see it behind you to see what was going on. This is my photography phase a few years ago. These are the pictures, some of the pictures that I used for blog posts and things like that.
I wondered what these funny names were coming up on.
Those are the names that the captions I put on them on Flickr, on the Flickr thing. I just copied them right over into the thing from my hard drive where I had them.
Can I do more than
I keep asking you to do all kinds of things, and like I said, I got you kicked out last time.
Oh, it wasn't that. What it was the last time, though, it was the audio, wasn't it? When we played the audio, but pictures from last time. But what I learned the last time is, and I don't know if you caught up on that, but I was talking to you. If you saw the video, I'll put a little caption. Yes. I was talking to you about the bicycle. I said, this is what happens to a bicycle when you leave it at a railway station. But when I was showing the picture, all I was hearing, you was going, yep, okay, But you weren't responding to me. I wasn't there. You couldn't hear me because I'd switched on the video, on the picture shot. There was no microphone on it, so because I've attached the audio to my picture. So, but I've switched the audio onto without the picture, so I should not get any problem. There might be I haven't framed them right, so there'll be the black on either side. So let's have a look at this one, see what you get on. I better switch switch to a different shot to put this. Okay, now that one goes behind me.
Oh, okay. Yeah, well, there's the bird.
So,
the bird's in the wrong place. I see. I mean, yeah, because it's central. I was afraid that's the way it would be. Yeah. Okay.
You get rid of me. Well, yeah, but you see, what happens to this one though is here. You just go on to this one, hold your control key down.
Okay, so you just cycle through them. Okay.
This. And well, if I do that, you can't see it, but this fills my screen up. So I've got the
that
screen
zoomed
up
in
there.
for me.
But that's a good one.
Yeah, it's like
that one's a bit scary. That's a good one though, isn't it? That one.
I kind of got into a micro phase there with those. That was at a 70s themed birthday party. They were disco dancing and stuff. I also enjoyed motion and stuff too, and trying to freeze action and things like that. So this is one of those.
Oh, they're good. I like that one. The dominoes.
Yeah, so they're all kind of in midair. But that's my wife's colander. I got it out of the kitchen.
And then the duckies, and then that's a good one. So you take.
I enjoy black and white and sepia tone stuff myself as well. I mean, it doesn't go over as well online, but still, I kind of like the that there is actually my front deck right here in my house.
Yeah, that looks good. Early in the
look. Had a lot of fog and just standing right in front of my front door, and there that's where I took the picture.
Yeah, it's extremely good. I'm back there. No loss of sound.
Excellent. Oh, okay. So people won't wonder what this is off camera. I'll do this right here. Okay. Oh, lost your voice again. How'd that happen? Well, now there we go. You're back.
Hang on.
You're back. Now you're gone again.
Sound back yet?
Yep, it is.
Sounds back?
Yep, it is now.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So that's good. Back.
Right now your picture's frozen, but your sound's back. Okay, you're moving again.
No, it must be just the bandwidth or whatever happening this week. So, because sometimes I find I've got plenty of bandwidth, but it all depends who the server you're dealing with. Depends on what they've got and what services they've put up to it. So a lot of people are paying a lot of fortune for fast internet connection.
Right.
And a lot of the time it doesn't make a heap of a difference because, as I said, the information is still getting there, but you just can't get it down fast enough. So it's okay if the one that you're dealing with's got a super fast server that does a different thing on there as well. So
hey, I have a report on the results from the podcast version that I've been putting out.
Yes. Yeah.
What's happened is what I did. I took my original podcast. I have not put anything on that feed. I did 50 episodes and closed it like I had planned, but I haven't put anything on that feed since last September. It went for a year and then it was over. So 50 episodes. Well, I went ahead and changed that feed over to just an audio feed from my website. And then I started releasing Jeff and Jeffrey on it, starting with episode 1. And that was 2 weeks ago, episode 2, and then episode 3 2 days ago. So here are when you change the type of format on an audio feed, then there is the chance that some people won't like the people who like the old content. If they're still subscribed at all after that many months, that they maybe would not want to stay and listen. And so the second and third ones are the ones that I was wondering about, whether people would stay and listen for those. So here are the results of the thing. The one that I released 2 weeks ago, episode 1, I did that 2 weeks ago. There were 66 listens on that one. On week 2, there were 68 listens on that one. And then the one I released 2 days ago on Monday, there so far have been 47 listens on that one in the last 2 days. The various states in the United States that have been listened to, obviously West Virginia, California is a big one. Sometimes there's more people listening there than there are in West Virginia. Okay. Virginia, Tennessee, Florida, Maryland, Indiana, Texas, Illinois, Ohio, Minnesota, Kentucky, Oregon, Washington State, and Delaware. And those are the different states that people in them have listened at least once in those states. Now, it has a tendency to index into several countries. You'll just notice one download for these different countries. And I think they're indexing it for their own distribution, their own search engines or something, but there'll be one. But then in Indonesia, I got like 3 the other day on one. So that means somebody evidently listened. And I got 5 in France on episode 3 over the last couple of days. So,
all right.
So anyway, there are some people who are actually listening to the audio version of what's being put out, mostly piggybacking off the fact that there were still people who were tied into the podcast feed already. But it doesn't seem to be like, you think if you did 66 and then like on episode 2, we said, well, here we are. And, and we got some feedback. And at the beginning of episode 2, you said, and they probably said, don't do that again. Well, it was consistent in the second week. I mean, we've only had 1 week and we got, just a couple more than we did the first one we did 2 weeks ago. But then 47 in the last couple of days, the numbers are really staying fairly consistent. So that's kind of exciting. That's all right. So there are some people around listening here and there. So that's the way it goes. So anyway, I wanted to tell you about that because I know. I wonder if anyone. We're always doing this and think, is anyone listening? That's the podcast.
That's the thing. But is that sort of just? Do you know if they've listened all the way through? That
is one thing we don't have since podcasting is not streaming. It's not like YouTube where they can actually monitor how long they do it. It's a download, and then they have it on their device, and then. Now, some of this, a little bit of this is from Spotify because the account is tied into Spotify, and it takes a while for it to hit Spotify. So the first episode had like 10 streaming listens on Spotify. And so, I did the stuff at Libsyn, Liberated Syndication, where it's all hosted to set it up for Google Play Music too, but I don't know how long that takes, but I did go through the motions to get that set up. So, and again, I'm not expecting an explosion, but nice, consistent, few people listens, kind of cool, especially for an old feed.
But I mean, for something like that, for the 50, 60 type Mac, that's really good, I think.
That's not, not bad for a start.
That's not. Yeah, and I'm not. You wouldn't expect hundreds of thousands either, because it's not the sort of riveting things people, controversial subjects or anything that people. Well, let's think of something controversial to say.
People are just now discovering it. So I mean, it's just the people that were on the feed and just didn't unsubscribe, and they are discovering it now. One of the things I noticed though in California, the first show got like 7, the next one got 10, and show 3 got like 14. So. It's kind of slowly like, I don't know if they said, hey, listen to these yahoos, and then they would, yeah, you got to hear these guys, So, it's a different kind of content than was on the feed before, but, it's evidently we haven't blown anybody out, I guess. So,
Hey, did you notice the opening was slightly different?
Yes, I noticed you put that. The graphic there at the end. That's really good. I like that. Very, very much.
Yeah, because it looked better. I thought it looked better than the other one because we'd thrown that one together. But I actually replaced that in the blab on the thing to advertise the blab, but it didn't take for some reason. It had the old shot still. I thought, I did update the image, but it didn't seem to show.
I went to your YouTube channel about a half an hour ago, and I was looking to see if you had done a new live stream update thing, and I didn't see it, but I did see the one that you did where your friends came to Melbourne. And you produced these really. I mean, that looks like something that the Melbourne tourism people should really pick up and do. I mean, it really looks good. You do really, really good video work. I have no hope of ever doing video work like that. I think I'm going to have to stick with audio. It's kind of my thing, but it really looked good. It really looked like a tourism professional tourism video that you would, play somewhere for people to want to come and visit Melbourne. I mean, it was great. I just loved it. I thought it was really good.
The only one I'm not on, we did a kayak thing on the riverbank on on one of the days, but I was too scared to take my camera on the kayak.
Don't blame me there.
I said no. I'm not one of these, like, just to get a decent shot, I'll risk all me get. I said no. I think my cousins have sent me some images of all their pictures. I said, just send me all your pictures, because I said I did that with all the ones I took on the day, but they've sent me all the pictures of the holidays. I said, I'll put something else together for you. But just thinking,
do you have a waterproof GoPro or anything like that?
I do have, actually, but I just I don't like it. It's awkward to use.
Oh, okay.
And because it has the fisheye type thing, and then you've got to correct it, and but then it's, you just hold it and you're hoping. Whereas I like to have a particular camera to use. In
a situation like that, getting something and seeing if it's usable, and then not telling anybody afterwards if it wasn't. To go ahead and take it on the kayak and see what you get. You might get something, but you could have used it in some of the shots where you were, going quickly through different still shots and things like that. I mean, yeah, you might have got something you could have used, but no, I mean, it was an amazing video.
Do you realize how hard that was? It was 3 frames, picture 1, 2, 3 frames, another picture 1, 2, 3, and I did the whole collection. So it took nearly every picture I took to fill it up.
It's almost like stop action animation,
And then, but it was different. Then I had to, because I also, it's also as well with video, you've got to. I was watching a film the other day. It's a bit like a magician. You've got to set up the scene as well. So also I went out before then and filmed at the Shrine of Remembrance in Melbourne. But what I did, I'd filmed on there, and I did it 4 different things, going closer, taking the camera close. It wasn't zoomed in, and that's how I got that zoom in. It looked so good, because I was moving in.
Okay.
I wasn't just zooming in. I was moving the camera in and that. So I took some shots that I did before, and then some shots on the day when I was out with them, because we took a bicycle tour around Melbourne as well on that day. So I was taking some shots on there. And then that was a few days later where we went across to Geelong and went across on the ferry to the other side to Sorrento. But it was really good. I enjoy doing that when I've got a particular thing to do, but I try not to put tons of rubbish on there. So whereas I could really easily put things up each week, but just for 2 minutes or whatever, but they're just nothing. I like to put something on that means something. Like I did one on there, it's been a year ago, was a friend of mine. She had a riding clinic, and I went and she said, can you film me riding? So I did, but I don't like to, and give me a video. I don't like to just give them a video of an hour of them riding.
Exactly. You want to,
that's even when you're riding, there's nothing more boring. Are you going to sit down and watch a video of you riding around for an hour? No, you're not, even if you've done it yourself. So I had a couple of cameras with me, and I just said, I'll just take some pictures. And I put it together, and I had a little Panasonic with me. I stuck it on the side wall and filmed going up the long side with one camera and one with my other one. And then I put it together like a multi-camera view. So when they went out of shot of one thing and came into a view with the other one. But I didn't expect to do that. I just happened to have that, and it just worked out quite nicely. And the sound of the instructor, I made sure when I cut it, the sound wasn't too, it was pretty similar to what he was saying on the other one. So it sounded like it was a continuous shot.
No, I've seen that one. That's very, very well done. And what's funny is I understand the spirit of wanting to make an offering to the gods of good production, as opposed to just throwing a loose video out there. I totally get it. It has taken me the longest time to get used to the concept that just getting on here and free talking, because the first podcast I did was completely scripted. And so that's
what I enjoy about this, is because we get on here live. If you did thought about it too much, you probably wouldn't get on here and do anything. That's the thing with it being live. You get on there and do something. But when I do the video, I've got a chance to do that. But you don't want to overproduce anything. But there's plenty of people putting tons and tons, and I never expect people to watch loads of it. But it's just great having places like YouTube and Vimeo. It's just there to give you a reason for doing things.
Sure.
And plus, like that video of my cousin and her husband, and that probably, if I'd taken all these pictures, they'd probably never see the light of day in my collection. You take all these pictures and you never do anything with them. But when you've got something like that, you've got somewhere to put on there. And I did ask them, I said, do you mind if I do put, I showed them it first. I said, do you mind if I put it on my channel? I said, no. I said, well, we're not doing anything wrong, just in case you happen to be, you know, secret spies or something, and they don't want to know that you're here. I just thought better ask you for that one as well, whether I can do that. But it was funny you should say you was looking for my intro, because I did one last night. I did do a live stream, and I did do one, and I thought, oh, I'll just delete that, because I didn't mention. I said, hello, and join us for the weekly catch up, and did all that. And I thought, I didn't play the intro. I didn't say when it was. I didn't say how to see it. Oh, well, it was a load of rubbish. So I just deleted it, because I thought, and my main thing was to just test the stream anyway. And so I thought, well, I won't have to do that again. And I nearly wasn't going to do it, but I thought, well, every time I've done that previously, I've been able to get into Blab without a hitch.
Oh,
and so I thought maybe that's the reason that's getting me in. But that blew that theory tonight, when I still had done it and still didn't get in. But I got in the second time. And like last week, I got in on with a 720p resolution, which made me not as big as I am this week. Last week, I wasn't quite as big. I was a bit further back. I had more of the scenery because I had more on the screen. But this was in the 540p, so it's squashing me up a little bit on there. So I've also tried something else this week. So I'll see if you notice what I've done this week, and you'll see well, you'll see what happens at the getting further on. See if it works anyway. Okay. It wasn't going to work, but while he was telling me about the podcast views, I did change something, or else it wouldn't have happened for quite some time into the next few days or something if I hadn't changed it. So we'll see what happens if it gets into there. But also talking about video, what we did have this week on Tech Down Over, Rick and I had, I don't know if have you heard of Larry Becker?
No, I haven't. Larry Becker.
Well, you've heard of B&H?
Yes, definitely.
Yeah, well, a lot of their videos and about new camera gear, Larry Becker does them. Had done tons and tons of them, and worked for what's that? Oh, gee, I've forgotten this combo, but it was Kelby One Training.
Now I know about Kelby. I've been to one of his photo walks.
Yeah, well, Kelby One, Larry Becker did some courses for Kelby One.
Okay,
he was doing that, but recently they've just reshifted and changed to different things. So Larry's doing something else himself. But one of the things I really like that he does and he's doing now is, how to make money with business videos. Oh. And what he's doing where there's tons and tons of people out there showing people how to create professional videos, but that goes a little bit too far. They've got too much into the film type school that they know all the do's and the don'ts of proper things, but he's trying to teach the normal person how to be professional without going overboard. And it's really interesting to listen to, and really down to earth, like, different ideas for creating ones, like having a welcome video, doing things like that to introduce how to do a welcome video to introduce yourself, to tell people what you've got, and installation and instructional videos, just little ideas and industry news, just ideas for people to create videos and that, and had all the different types of resolution tricks. And there was one thing I've never ever even thought of doing, but one of his tips was how to look thinner on camera.
I could sure use that.
Well, I might do one of the things you can do. Well, it's quite easy. I might send you a video and do one and show you, see if it makes any difference. But it says if you've got a clear background, nothing much happening, so just like a background like this, nothing moving in there. Because what you can do in your frame, in all the video editors, you can narrow the aspect ratio slightly.
Okay.
And as long as you don't go overboard, like if you go too much, you've got a thin, pointy head.
Man, yeah.
But if you can, it said something like we've got quite chubby, you can just squash just that slight difference in and not notice. But he said just little tricks like that, and it's not so much for the audience; it's more so for yourself, because you do feel sometimes a bit conscious of it. Because the thing is, what he did mention, which you don't even think about it, he said when you get on camera, it's the first time you've ever seen yourself like that, because all the other times you've seen yourself in a mirror. And on a camera, you're not looking at it. You're seeing yourself as people see you, not as you see yourself in a mirror. And I thought, gee, you don't even think about that, do you? You just think, oh no, that's the way I always look. But no, it's the other way around. So how you look?
No matter how symmetrical. I remember when I was a kid, I ran across an article about this. But there was, no matter how symmetrical you think your face is, if you take a mirror and do that and then look at yourself, you look completely differently from one side of your face to the other. You look like a different person, depending on if you use both halves of this, use a mirror like that, or use the mirror the other way like that. You just look completely different. You don't look like the same person, and you don't realize how different the sides, two different sides of your face are. I mean, where for me, I've got scars and things. When I was a little kid, I had a scar over here. I can't remember what I did, but then a few years later, I obtained another scar exactly on the opposite side, exactly in the same place. So I've got matching scars right here. And who knew? Believe me, it wasn't planned, because I don't like bleeding, but it can happen if you're not careful.
Well, at least it was matching anyway.
Very important for bilateral symmetry. Yes, very important.
But if you're ever interested in, check Larry Becker's, because he does a lot of little videos. And one of the things, he said, don't do too long, maximum 3-5 minutes. It's because people just get fed up with them. But if you've got a big thing to say, do a little 3 minutes and say, hey, tune in for the next hint. And hey, they can stop, and then they can do it. Whereas if you have an 11-12 minute thing, people feel obliged to listen to that, and they might not have time. But as I said, you can have a big story, but break that 15-20 minutes into 3 or 4 little ones and that. But it's really handy on how to do it, and also record it in your 1280 or your 1080p. But edit it down on a 720p timeline, because then you've got a lot of room to move. So what that means is, when filming me like this, if I'm doing it on a 1080p and 720, I can do some zoom ins without losing the quality, without zooming the camera in. So after the fact, if I want to do some quick pull-ins, I can do that. And that's one of the big things with 4K, is you've got the same thing, but even more so, twice as much than 1080p. You've got all that extra room to move. But if you're not careful and you're filming on a 720 timeline, it takes you a lot more work to produce your videos. And I did put those videos up, and I got with that one of my cousins, I got Rick saying, gee, the quality of them were pretty awful and pretty flat. And I said, oh, really? And then he messaged me back, said, wrong, my monitor wasn't calibrated. I said I was getting really, I thought they was quite nice. And he thought, what have I done with them? Because I thought something must have happened, because I was quite pleased with them. But and I thought, because he wouldn't say that if they weren't. So I thought, what have I done wrong with them? But no, I hadn't done them wrong. But that's what I'm trying to do, is go through, because I've got quite a lot of material that I haven't used, but because you get all this video and you think, oh, will anybody be interested in that? I don't know. Will anybody be interested in that? But it all depends the way if you set it up nicely, you can do anything. Like I was just thinking something else the other week, but even just taking the camera out, just doing some nice scenes. But if you put it together nicely, but one of my tricks is, well, not so much tricks, is just don't go overboard. Just do the normal cut is more preferable than just doing all these fancy cuts. Because in mine, like even on that one, I think I did one different thing other than a straight cut, because I didn't do any fades in. I did one other thing other than just a straight cut. I think I moved something in there, but I don't do all these fancy, because it's just people don't notice them. Or else
the sure sign of an amateur video is whenever they use all those funny screen wipes and stuff. You get in there. I mean, just a whole bunch of those. Professionals don't use those all the time. They might do something, that's not, but taking something and making it a diamond into the middle of the screen, and you see all that stuff. They do it time after time after time, just like a professional doesn't spend all their time zooming back and forth like amateurs do.
No, well, I mean, when in a film, when you zoom in, when the professionals zoom in, the camera moves in. You don't zoom in; it stays at the same focal. That moves in. But the only time that the professionals use all the transitions and the flash things is usually on the 30-second trailer, to cover up that the film really has got no substance. So you don't see it. So you quickly go off because if they show too much, you won't go and see the film, but they just show you enough, cut it there. And then many a times I've been to films and thought, well, pretty much that 30-second trailer that was the only good bits in the film. So they did that. It upsets me sometimes. I don't know. Have you seen the latest Star Wars?
Yes. The one where Han Solo gets killed. Yeah, supposedly.
Oh, geez, spoiler alert! If anybody
hasn't seen it by now, I give up. I mean, because most people I know have watched it 3 times.
Well, to be quite honest, I've been a Star Wars fan for years, but I only watched it the other week. I only watched it the other week, and I didn't like it. I watched all the others, but I started watching it. Then half an hour through, when Han Solo was in there and fighting all these horrible big funny creatures, and I thought, how ridiculous is this? And I just switched it off and came back at the other day. But what I was thinking was all the things we're saying about Luke Skywalker, and all he has is a 30-second thing, and just look at the end of the film, and I thought, I wonder how many millions he got paid for that. I thought, I'd love to have a gig like that.
The most I've ever gotten paid was $33 a second.
Well, that's at least you're being paid.
It was for 3 seconds. But what happened was there was a local movie that was being made in this area, and they found an image that I had taken, and it was on Flickr, the Flickr account that those pictures you had a minute ago came from. And they found it. They had done a search and they had found it online, and they just asked me, hey, can we please use this image in the movie? And they paid me. It was on the screen for about 3 seconds. And it was a picture of coal mine scrip, which is these little coins that were used as currency for coal mining companies back in the old day. A lot of economic slavery based on that. You had to buy everything from their store. You had to use their currency. It's basically these coins. And I had a picture that was well taken. They said it's the best one they'd ever seen. You can actually see the names of the coal companies on the coins. The lighting was just so. And they asked me if they could use it, and they paid me $100. And it was on the screen for 3 seconds. So I got paid $33 a second. That's the highest rate of pay I've ever had in my life, and I'm likely to ever have.
Well, I wonder how much. I don't think Mark Hamill would be able. Is it Mark Hamill? Is it? I don't think he'll be able to calculate how much he got paid in that short appearance. It was so short, and I bet you. I'll remember years ago when. Remember the first Superman movie with Christopher Reeves. The first one, and in the modern times, and Marlon Brando was his
father,
and he got paid $1 million for his 15 minutes worth of filming in that one. outrageous, and and I think, gee, that's what a pittance he got back then. But back when that came out, it was like $1 billion back then for 15 minutes on screen, whereas now, if they'd get $1 million for 15 seconds on the screen, wouldn't they? Some of the top actors.
Yeah, I mean, it probably took them the whole day to shoot that, so it was worth whatever millions they paid him, I guess. but what's funny is I think his deal probably be in the next in the next official movie. But I think I could. It almost had that. I'm ready for my close up look. He turned around and
Yeah, but that's what it is. Yes. What it is, it's ready for the sequel, and now he's set it up that he said, well, you don't want to use me now?
Yep.
You don't want to pay that amount of money? You've set it all up. You've got to. So they'll have to use it. Well, you saying about the amount of time, the only exposure I had, I worked for, you have the old, I think you have the old Army and Navy stores there, don't you, that sell all the old... I used to work for one of those years ago, and we sold camping stuff as well. And Mazda, I don't know how you say that.
Mazda is what we say here, yeah.
Mazda, yeah. They had the new 323 was out, and there was filming an advert for the new car, and it was outside the front of my shop that I was managing at the time, and said, "Oh, can we come out the shop and pile in the Mazda with some sleeping bags and all that, and then drive off?" And I said, yeah, I'm not too comfortable with this. You're driving off with $5,000 worth of equipment. And back in 1977 or nearly 80, there was because they picked the top quality stuff. They didn't want the rubbish to take in the car. I said, yeah, you better sign for it because you're driving off. Oh, yeah, because the head was taking it away and going to lay it out on the ground somewhere and film it somewhere else as well after leaving the shop. And I wasn't very comfortable with that. But just to pick it up, put it into the back of the car, and them to drive off, took them 8 hours to film that.
Exactly. No,
and that part of the advert lasted for about 5 seconds, if that. So but it was a whole day so that part lasted 5 seconds.
And you have to do it exactly right and do it several takes, and that way, whenever you get back in the thing, you can take the exact. They probably took, so many different takes, and they probably used 10 different takes to put that sequence together, probably.
But then again, it just does amaze me how other people do it, because on trips I've had to Los Angeles, I've been to the Hollywood studios and watched them filming some sitcoms.
Oh,
and you think, a 30-minute sitcom, you think, oh, I wonder how long that takes to film. Will you see a 30-minute sitcom? Do you know how long it takes to film a 30-minute sitcom usually?
I don't know, but I know it will be probably, I would think a couple of days, but I'm not,
No, about 20
minutes to do a 30-minute show.
They have, usually about, it was half an hour, this one, and I was so impressed. I thought they didn't stumble. I would have thought they'd be making terrible mistakes. It would take at least 3 or 4 hours to film because you're in an audience, but they did it very well.
If you're doing it every day, then what you do is do the filming, and then you take your script, and you probably spend, what was that? One of our famous presidents, Abraham Lincoln, said that if he had 8 hours to cut down a tree, that he would spend 6 hours sharpening the axe or something like that. And so they probably spend the vast majority. They probably work more than 8 hours a day, and they probably are just going over script lines in the room, sitting back at a table or something, and then they come out and film it, do a good job of it. And you have to do this, daily, so it's a big stretch.
And I suppose, if they didn't do it correctly, they'd be soon out of a job, and that's why the professionals at it. But it really made me think of, you just think they just stand in front of the camera, but I thought they do it so well. But then again, one of the things I learned in presentation skills, when you're doing a presentation of anything, is usually you're the only one who knows you've made a mistake. So unless you tell anybody, and it's the same thing with them, if it doesn't affect the script, well, they'll change the script to make it match. As long as it's going along with, they say the point, they might say the wrong one. No, that will do. And so you would never know, because most people won't have the script. They'll only get the script after the fact. If the seeing, doing a rerun, they will see the rewritten script. But as I said, never been doing anything. Never apologize for your mistakes, because usually you're the only one who's realized you've done
when
it.
we were growing up, we had a family singing group, and I remember once, and there was 5 of us on the stage. 4 of us were singers, and we went to this place one time, and this wasn't the first song. It was like 2 or 3 songs in. All 4 of the singers, all 4 of us, started on the second verse. I mean, there was no hiccup. We started the second verse at the beginning of the song. And then, other than us kind of looking at each other, we were all playing instruments too. They're looking at each other. And then other than that, we didn't just, we didn't, you don't stop. You just keep going. And so we did that. And then we sang the first verse and finished the song. Okay. And then it's over. My parents didn't even catch it. It was just us, and we all knew, but a couple of us, your eye kind of goes, but other than that, it's kind of like, what do we do? But no, the show must go on, and you just keep doing it and don't worry about it. It just happens.
No, that's right. And you see a lot of professional musicians that just, if they're all in tune, they follow the lead of the singer that says, "Oh, he stumbled a little. Let's just put an extra few bars in, let him get his breath and do it again." But they just keep going. But they know how to cover up all these things. And as you said, there was one of the famous ones. Was it "Come On, Eileen"? Have you heard that song?
Oh yeah.
Come on, Eileen.
I know the song you're talking about.
But did you hear how it speeds up at the end?
I have been fascinated with how they are able to consistently do that. And I've never heard them do it live, obviously. What was it, Dexy's Midnight Runners?
Yes, that's.
But I've always been fascinated with how that song would start speeding up and speeding up and speeding up. And everybody was just right in sync. I was totally impressed with that.
Well, did you hear how it became like that? Because it's messed it up so many times previous, and they were running out that this was the final take, and if they'd gone over, it would have cost them another day's worth of production costs. So it wasn't going to fin. So they said, and then they come on up. So they sped it up. So they just got the recording studio time. So they said that's why it became, and it became part of the trip. But it wasn't designed like that. It was supposed to be finishing normally. But they said, "Come on, we're running out of time because we're getting thrown out of the studio." So whether that's, and I thought that came out really good. But as I said, nobody knew that. It just sounds like that's the way it was supposed to be. Sped up and getting faster and faster. But what it was they were running out of time, so they had to wrap it up fairly quickly. So, but it just goes to show you, as I said, only when you're making them keep rolling and keep going on like that. So, and these days, if you make a mistake and it's too much, well, we're all on camera these days. There's always somebody watching. There's even, you're on your mobile, your cell phone, and you don't know who's linking into that these days.
Like you say, that's one of the things I really like about my little webcam here. It has a blue light that comes on the front of it if it's on. And so if suddenly the thing were to come on, I'd be like, okay.
Yes, but then again, the real hackers have come up with a way to switch your camera on and disable the light.
That's why I do this. I have this card that my wife wrote Happy Father's Day on. And whenever I'm not using the camera, it's right here. Keep dust off of it and keep anybody from turning my camera on.
But that's what they had, wasn't it? There was somebody there who was the head of the FBI there. Who's he?
Who is it now? Let's see. As they go by, I don't know who the actual leader of the FBI is now. I don't have many dealings with them, so that's good.
No, but it was just somebody was saying on there that said, this is how good our security services is. The head of the FBI, and was interviewing, has a bit of sticky tape over the top of his camera on his laptop. Says they're the people who are protecting us, and they can't stop it. So that's his security advice. Yeah, I have a bit of tape over mine to stop people. That's their security level, and I thought that was really funny. I thought, the head of one of the biggest security things in the world had a bit of tape stuck over his webcam so nobody can watch him. So, but I must admit that you can't get anything. Like most of the things, the monitors and that, they all have them built in. All laptops have them built in.
Yep. So,
and like some of the later ones have a built-in cap, don't they? The webcams, so you can just put it on there. But anyway. They're all watching. If I've got my computer on, I assume somebody's watching me. But if I switch it off, I don't know how people leave the computers on when they're not using it. I've always switched mine off.
Back in the 80s, I ran a computer bulletin board system, and so that stayed on all the time. But we didn't have cameras then. But no, this one here, if it's, I turn it off whenever I'm done with it. Sometimes it'll stay on for a while, but anyway, I always have this over the camera, and then I have, for dust purposes and also privacy purposes. And if it would happen to be on, this microphone actually is the one that picks up.
You're silencing.
You're silencing. Yeah, you've been doing that some too. I think we have a kind of a bad connection between us today. This is going to be a little hard to make a podcast out of today, I think.
Well, he said, I think. It's sort of like sticking on a wig.
No, hold out. Okay, well, before we hit the fan too bad, you mind if I do a pick of the week?
No, go ahead.
The Audacity to Podcast.com. Daniel J. Lewis, he is one of the podcasters, but he always goes to NAB all the time, the National Association of Broadcasters show. And then he goes and they're getting used to him doing this. So he gets really, really good on the floor interviews with different equipment manufacturers. And he's just now put out 5 or 6 or so videos that he got back in April. They're all produced and everything and ready to go. They're on his YouTube channel, but you can access everything through his main podcast site, the Audacity to Podcast.com. And there's a list of the different manufacturers he talked to and all the newer products and everything coming out. Very good. He's a good interviewer. He's been podcasting for years, and he actually does this full time. He actually makes a living podcasting and providing podcasting services and some other things. That's what he makes a living doing. So he does really, really good videos, and they are available now. I just got an email on that, and they're available now. So the Audacity to Podcast.com is where you would go, and you can find everything he does. But it's good stuff. He's the first podcast I ever listened to because I wondered if I could use Audacity to edit podcasting before I found anything about it. So I typed in Audacity and podcast and ended up with his podcast. So I listened to, I've listened to pretty much every episode he's got, and he comes out weekly, and you just learn all kinds of new stuff about it. And it's good stuff. But these videos, I think you would really enjoy them yourself. The Audacity to Podcast.com.
And you said it's a video.
Yes, what he does, he does an audio podcast. That's what the Audacity to Podcast is. But he has videos on a YouTube channel that you can, of course, access. You can find it from his regular podcasting site. And there's a post on his site, on his blog site, every time he puts one of the videos up. There's a post on his site about that video, so it's right there on his front page right now. Daniel J. Lewis.
Daniel. Like the filmmaker.
That would be Daniel Day-Lewis.
Day-Lewis. I thought that. I thought something sounded quite familiar. J. Lewis. Yes.
Daniel J.
Day-Lewis. I'll have to watch that because also it was with I was talking about Larry Becker. He went to NAB when doing some interviews, and he was just saying about some video as well. He says it's not all about you as well. It's also about who you're interviewing. So he was saying as well, like when you're doing an interview, like at NAB, coach the people you're interviewing. Spend 3 or 4 minutes just telling them, say, look, I'm going to put the camera, ask you a question. You can look at me when I talk, but then turn around and just face the camera and talk to the camera. Don't talk to me, because most people are looking there. There's a camera at the side. But it said it makes it so much more engaging for you. Yes. And then you start talking to the camera and responding to that as though you're talking to that person. And they said it really makes such a difference, because everybody's got in their mind this, yes, hello, and they do all this off-camera look when they're, yes, okay, yes, and they're doing all that, and they don't like looking at the camera. But when you're looking at people straight in the eye, and I don't know about you, but when I'll always look at them straight in the eye, and I can say, well, they're not looking at me. They're looking at the top of the teleprompter or something. So, and Larry came up with a good idea, and I tried this, and it does work. He said, move the camera a little bit further back and zoom in, because your eyes don't move half as much when it's further away. And as I said, you can do that so your eyes can be moving, but as I said, when it's close, your eyes move and people can see you reading. But when you're further back, it's nearly impossible to see that, and it really does work. But just little hints like that and really make it. But I'm going to check that one out. Daniel J. Lewis. Not Day Lewis, J. Lewis.
The Audacity2podcast.com is the actual website.
Audacity. And Audacity is such a good program for something that's free. And how do they do it? Because it is still free.
Oh, yes, it's still free. That's what I used to do. All the sound work I do. I did my audiobook with it. Yeah, I mean, and they every so often will come up with new features and things, but it's really hard to beat for the little slicing and dicing and the different video type stuff. It's really, really hard to beat. I love it. It's great stuff.
So how do they keep going? What do they do to this sell? How do they keep? Because they can't be just free for. Must have some money coming in.
I think their team involves a lot of university students and people like that who are doing it for the love of it. I mean, it's not just that they are. It's not that they have this free software sitting around and they have to make money. It's like university students and different people like that come and go over the years. They have these new teams that develop slowly over these and they just love it. Right now on Facebook, there is a group called the Audacity Users Group or something like that. And one of the developers is actually in that group answering questions all the time. And so, I mean,
but I mean, all these things that you get for free these days, it's getting better and better. Like, how you go onto YouTube and do videos, and you do a video, pull it down because you're infringing on somebody's copyright. But now YouTube's got quite a library of free audio that you can use, that you won't get into trouble. And some of the better ones, all you have to do is put a link to their thing in your YouTube. But I thought that's really good, because you don't have to, for somebody who's just doing a few little things, you don't have to pay anything for it. I have a
friend that was interested in podcasting, and he's a minister, and he wants to do a religious type of podcast. And so we've been talking about it, and he got one of these similar microphones and did that. And then he's downloaded Audacity, and he's going to come over to my house next week, actually in probably around midnight up until we do the show, because he works night shift as well. And what he's going to do, from what I can tell, he's an amazing guitar player. And so he is going to play a bunch of public domain guitar music in my sound booth here. And then it's like songs that are in the public domain. Some of them will be old hymns. Some of them will be some faster stuff, some different stuff. And then he's going to spend some time improvising. We're going to record all of that. And then he and I both will have full use of all of this music that we can use behind audio or whatever's going on. Totally done, totally free, totally, there you go. And so, and then I'm going to show him some editing in Audacity while he's here, and then just to get him started on that part of it. And he'll have different transitions for his show, the different music and stuff. I have the facility to do it. He has the talent for the guitar. We're using public domain stuff and improvisation. It's going to be all free music.
I also always wonder about that with songs and that, because you hear so many people playing a guitar or playing a keyboard and singing along. But how do they get away with? Isn't that still infringing copyright on some of them if you sing that and put it on YouTube? But I see people playing things and it doesn't. But I'm a bit scared to do that if it's just in case you are infringing.
I got an email here, a solicitation email, saying that for $14.95 you will be allowed to make a cover of any song. And I'm thinking, it sounds a little plain. But this stuff here is, he's doing a Christian show. And so there's a really big back catalog of totally public domain, a century old hymns that can be improvised and played, and again, there won't be any singing with it. It'll just be the music, but you can actually do arrangements of those and all you want and use it all you want. And so it might not even be recognizable as the original hymn unless somebody sits down and analyzes it. But, especially when it's playing behind words or something, but there's tons of that stuff back there that you can go back and get, do your own arrangement of a public domain song. Doesn't have to be an old hymn. It could be anything. And as long as it's in the public domain and you can play, you can use that all you want, make your own music. Oh. There you go.
Really good. As I said, I've found something out with this software that I can do, which I've forgotten that I can do it. But what I can do in theory is what we could do, put on YouTube. I can put a live stream on YouTube and queue up all of our shows and do one after each other and have a live YouTube stream of our shows. Okay. So you can do that. So if you wanted to do it live, you can put it up there and just put all, this is number 9, isn't it? Put all 9 together.
Well, there you go.
And just have 9 hours worth of things. But you do a live stream if you want to do that. But some people do that. But I thought, what's the point of doing a live stream of a pre-recorded thing?
People are doing it on Blab too. It seems they have pre-recorded advertising things, how to podcast in 59 minutes or whatever. And then every time you get on here, it's playing, and it's been open for a month and it just keeps playing. So it's, and it says live on it, but they're just typing this into their live stream. So it's just kind of like, okay. But it's an infomercial is what it is, for whatever's going on.
Well, say with that popular, I should really stream them again and again. So what do they say here? The encore performance of the weekly catch-up, which means it's a it's a repeat.
A rerun.
They make it sound the encore performance. I said, it's a repeat. Try to make it sound that everybody wanted it, and that really annoys me when people say the best ever show. So, well, it only started yesterday. How can they know that everybody loves it? How sometimes it's the best show that's ever made. Well, its premiere episode is tomorrow night. How to know?
They are.
It's never been
They are probably right, because if you really check the whole audience, the person who did the show loved it. It's a brand new show, and the whole audience thought it was the best show ever. So,
and they showed 3 people a preview of it, and they all loved it. So audiences across the world, one in Japan, one in America, and one in England. So audiences across the world.
I popped into, I was popping into some blabs. I got in here about a half hour early, and I was popping into some other blabs, and somebody asked me to be a co-host with them. Okay. I said, okay, I'm covered. I'm doing a show on here already. I do a podcast with my wife. I do audiobooks on occasion. And I said, I work full time with overtime. And I said, I really don't have time to do another show. And I said, if I happen to see you, I'll pop in. But as far as that goes, I can't do another show. It was just kind of like, oh, okay. He's trying to get me to be a co-host. He only seen me. I was in their show 10 minutes. I was on the screen for less than for about 10 minutes, and he's trying to get me to be a co-host with him. Well, guess not.
But that's what I'll say. Make this person a co-host. I'll just do it on yours just in case you want.
Okay, well,
but the thing is,
I got a copy of the original files whenever you did that the last time. I don't know if it's because you went out and came back in, or if it's just because I was made a co-host, then I got a copy and you wouldn't have to copy them over to.
Yeah. Well, mate, I'll just do that again. So it might be that one, but that's exactly why we do this show, I think, because as I said, you can become too addictive. You can spend all your time in different blabs, but that's why we could go on for hours, but I'm trying to restrict to an hour. And what I've done this week, I'll tell you what I've done before it is. What I've done, I've set the show up on the Wirecast, so it'll automatically remind me when the time's coming up. So we're going over from 60 seconds, so I should get a lower third, and some music should start playing in about 2 minutes and 21 seconds, because we're nearing the end of that, and then then there'll be 4 minutes. There's another 2 minutes of the audio before we can say goodbye and wrap it up.
Yeah,
so,
I want to see this.
And that's because with Wirecast, what you can do, you can do all your switching yourself, but you can put it into a stream, so we can time it at different intervals. So if you want to do it, so you don't have to do all the switching yourself, but you have to be on time. So if it goes for 30 seconds, you've got to say that in 30, then it'll switch to the shot you want, and you can load them up so you can do it on that. So now in about 1 minute 40 seconds, it should be changing. So we'll see if this works. But I thought that'd be a good idea to keep us on track. The only thing I just didn't realize, though, and I had to go and readjust the things, was when we showed your pictures, it started the time again. So I had to go and readjust it for a few minutes. That's why I wasn't, because I thought, man, I didn't realize that it would do, because I go off that shot that it's in that time frame, and then it goes onto the pictures, and then you come back and it resets that back minute.
We've had some
I had to readjust that on the fly. That's working.
We've had so much sidelining, so I'm probably going to edit down in the podcast down to about a half an hour, probably.
But it hasn't been too bad. I think I haven't heard too much. At least it's only
I've been hearing. I've heard quite a bit from your side, I think, but we'll see. We'll just have to see how the recording comes up. I guess I have the benefit of being in the same country as the actual company, so probably there's a little that I'm not. That kind of give me a bit of an advantage.
But I get much better response through Blab than I do on Skype. Skype seems to mess around quite a bit. So,
well, like I say, I think people
in 21 seconds it should be.
Yeah, let's see what's happening.
Well, as I said, I think this is a good medium. I always have better quality here than bad quality, really. So it's. I wish we could get some sort of same sort of quality out of Skype, because Skype seems to be becoming a little bit worse on that as well. So, see, it's working. Yes, it's working. So, that's working. And there should be some music as well to say we're nearly finished on that. So,
like the bass work.
So, is it very loud?
No,
is it very loud?
No, it isn't too loud. I can just hear you talking over it.
Yeah, I thought that might be it, but as I said, the music tells me it's the end of the show. So if I let it go for until the end of the music, which is 1 minute 53 seconds, we'll do the closing on there. But I think we've had to just wrap that up for the recording for the show, and just say thank you for joining us, and hopefully see you all those hundreds of people that were watching live. Join us again next week, and thank you for all the chat in the chat pod that we've been having along in the show. And hope you can all join us next week. So bye for now, and catch you next week.